Welcome to a modern miracle of spiritual transformation. I am Avery, and I am just so thrilled to be here with you all today.
And I'm Eden, equally thrilled to be joining Avery and all of you on this journey. It's pretty exciting, isn't it, Avery, just to finally get this off the ground?
It truly is, Eden. We've been, talking about this for so long, and I think it's just the perfect time for this conversation. Today, we're really going to dive deep into something that, well, it's very near and dear to our hearts, and we believe it's happening all around us, often without us even fully realizing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're calling this podcast a modern miracle of spiritual transformation for a reason. And I think that miracle part is pretty key. It's not about, loaves and fishes or anything like that. It's about something far more, I don't know, profound and personal that really reshapes who we are.
Exactly. It's about how, everyday people, ourselves included, are experiencing these incredible shifts within themselves that feel nothing short of miraculous, even in our very, very modern, often cynical world. We're going to explore what that actually means, what spiritual transformation truly entails beyond like traditional definitions and why it's so incredibly relevant right now.
Right, because I think for a lot of people, when they hear spiritual transformation, they immediately go to like a religious context or something very, you know, formal. But we're looking at it from a much broader lens. It's about inner change, deep inner growth that honestly can happen to anyone, anywhere, regardless of their beliefs or background.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so exciting, isn't it? It's not exclusive. It's not something you have to go to a mountaintop to find. It's really about a profound shift in perspective in how you relate to yourself, to others, and to the world around you. And it feels, honestly, Eden, it feels like it's becoming more and more common. Like you see people just, finding their way.
I totally agree. And I think part of what we want to do with this podcast is really uh, demystify it a bit, right? Show that it's not some, abstract concept, but something tangible and deeply personal that impacts your daily life. And we're going to do this in a very conversational way. So, think of us as just chatting with you over a cup of coffee or something.
Oh, definitely. We want this to be a space where we can openly discuss these powerful journeys, share insights, and, really explore what makes these transformations so potent. And yes, truly miraculous in a modern context. We want to hear from you too eventually, but for now, just settle in.
Yeah, we want to invite all of you to join us on this journey. Whether you're curious about spiritual growth, feeling a pull towards deeper meaning, or you've already experienced profound inner change yourself, we believe there's something here for everyone. So, yeah, let's dive right in, shall we? This is a modern miracle of spiritual transformation, and we are so glad you're here.
So, Eden, picking up right where we left off, we've hinted at it, but I think it's crucial to really unpack what we mean by spiritual transformation here. Because, as you said, for many, it conjures images of like religious conversion or some very specific prescribed path.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not what we're talking about, at least not exclusively. For us, spiritual transformation, it's really about a profound, deep-seated inner change. It's about shifting your core beliefs, your perspective, your values in a way that fundamentally alters how you experience life. It's not about adopting a new dogma per se.
No, exactly. It's more about I don't know, an awakening of sorts, like, a realization that there's more to life than perhaps what you've been led to believe or what you've just instinctively operated under. It's a reevaluation, maybe even a recalibration of your inner compass. And it doesn't have to be tied to like a specific deity or church building, it's broader.
Right. It's inclusive. It could be someone who was, deeply cynical, suddenly finding profound gratitude in everyday moments, or someone who felt utterly lost and without purpose, suddenly discovering a passion and a direction that resonates deeply with their soul. It's that kind of fundamental shift in internal landscape, you know?
Yeah, and I think a really common question people have when they hear about these kinds of big changes is it like a flash, a sudden epiphany, or is it a slower, more gradual process? What's your take on that, Eden? I mean, from what I've seen, it seems to be, a mix.
Oh, totally a mix. I think the media and a lot of traditional stories tend to highlight those big, dramatic, instantaneous epiphanies, right? Like the road to Damascus moment. And those definitely happen. People can have these sudden breakthroughs, these intense moments of clarity where everything just clicks.
Like a complete paradigm shift almost. They see the world differently in an instant.
Exactly. But I think for most people, it's a much more gradual unfolding journey. It's like planting a seed and watching it slowly grow. There are moments of realization, sure, but they build on each other. It's a process of peeling back layers, of continuous learning and unlearning. And that can take years, even a lifetime. It's not, a one and done thing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, my own journey has been much more of a meandering path with, little aha moments along the way rather than one big explosive transformation. And I think that's important for people to understand because sometimes if you don't have that dramatic sudden change, you might think, oh, I'm not doing it right or this isn't happening for me.
Exactly, Avery. And that's a key point. It's not about taking boxes or having a prescribed experience. It's about authentic growth that's unique to each individual. And honestly, the gradual process often allows for um, deeper integration, you know? It's not just a fleeting high, it becomes ingrained in who you are.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So, thinking about this, why do you think this concept of spiritual transformation, this deep inner change, is so relevant right now, like in our current very modern world? Because it feels like there's a real hunger for it, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. I think there are a few reasons. One, frankly, is the sheer pace and complexity of modern life. People are feeling more stressed, more disconnected, more anxious than ever before. We're bombarded with information, with expectations, with constant demands. And for a lot of people, that leaves them feeling empty, even if they have, quote unquote, everything.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like there's a void that isn't being filled by external achievements or material possessions.
Precisely. And so people are looking inward. They're searching for something more meaningful, something that provides genuine peace and resilience amidst the chaos. Traditional institutions, for some, aren't providing those answers anymore, or not in a way that resonates with their personal experience. So they're looking elsewhere, often within themselves or through new communities.
That's so true. And I also think the accessibility of information plays a huge role. Like decades ago, if you wanted to explore different spiritual paths or self-help philosophies, it was a lot harder. You had to go to a library or, find a guru or something. But now with the internet, with podcasts like ours, of course, and online communities, it's just so much easier to find resources and connect with like-minded people.
Oh, absolutely. The democratization of information has really empowered individuals to embark on these journeys themselves without necessarily needing an intermediary. And that's a big shift, right? It puts the power of transformation more directly into the hands of the individual.
Yeah, it takes it out of the hands of like the gatekeeper, so to speak, and allows for a much more personal and authentic exploration. I also think there's been a growing awareness around mental health, which is connected, isn't it? People are more open to discussing their inner struggles, their emotional well-being, and seeking solutions that go beyond just surface level fixes.
Yes, that's a huge one, Avery. The destigmatization of mental health issues has definitely opened doors for people to explore the deeper spiritual dimensions of their well-being. They're realizing that true healing often requires a holistic approach, addressing not just the mind, but also the spirit and emotions. It's all interconnected.
Totally. And so this idea of spiritual transformation becomes a pathway to not just, feeling good, but truly thriving, finding purpose, and developing a deeper connection to themselves and the world. It's not just a nice to have anymore. It's almost a necessity for navigating modern life with a sense of peace and genuine fulfillment.
Yeah, it's become, for many, a survival mechanism almost in a world that often feels overwhelming. It's about building that inner fortress, that inner resilience that allows you to weather the storms and still find joy and meaning. And that's why we think it's so critical to talk about it now and why it feels like a modern miracle, really, because it's a testament to the human spirit's ability to adapt and grow even in the toughest of times.
That's such a perfect segue, Eden, because we keep touching on this idea of modern miracle, right? And I think it's worth taking a quick peek back, just briefly, at how spiritual shifts have, been perceived historically.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's not like spiritual transformation is a new concept, right? I mean, throughout history, pretty much every culture, every religion has had narratives of profound interchange. Think of the saints, the mystics, the prophets, the philosophers, all those figures who, underwent some kind of radical spiritual awakening.
Exactly. And often these transformations were framed as being divinely inspired, right? Or like a direct intervention from a higher power. It was often sudden, dramatic, and almost always tied to a specific religious or mystical tradition. Like you had to be initiated or follow a very specific path.
Totally. And there was often an element of exclusivity to it, too. It wasn't necessarily seen as something available to just anyone at any time. It was for the chosen few or those who dedicated their lives to a particular, rigid practice. It wasn't, a common everyday occurrence for the masses.
Yeah, and I think that's where we really start to see the pivot to what makes this modern. Because if you look at those historical accounts, it was very much about adherence to like a rigid dogma, right? Like you had to believe A, B, and C. And if you didn't, well, then you weren't on the path or you weren't truly transformed.
Right. And I think now the shift is profoundly towards personal experience. It's less about external authority telling you what to believe and much more about an internal knowing, an internal resonance. It's about, does this feel true for me? Does this resonate with my soul? Does this actually create positive change in my life? Rather than, is this what the book says? Or is this what the leader tells me?
Oh, for sure. It's like instead of fitting yourself into a pre-existing spiritual box, you're constructing your own understanding, your own spiritual framework based on your lived experiences, your insights, your personal revelations. It's a much more bespoke, personalized journey, if that makes sense.
That's a great way to put it, Avery. It's bespoke spiritual growth. And it's messy, It's not always neat and tidy, like following a set of rules. It involves a lot of trial and error, a lot of questioning, a lot of unlearning even, which I think is a huge part of its power.
Yeah, and I think another massive factor in what makes this modern is just the unprecedented accessibility of tools and information for self-discovery now. I mean, we touched on it briefly, but it's like truly revolutionary.
Oh, absolutely revolutionary. Think about it. 20, 30 years ago, if you wanted to learn about, say, mindfulness or inner child work or different spiritual philosophies from around the world, you had to go to a library, right? Or find a very specific workshop in a very specific place. Or, maybe read a few niche books.
Yeah, or like, you'd stumble upon some obscure group in your town if you were lucky. It wasn't just like at your fingertips.
Exactly. But now, oh my goodness, you have podcasts like ours, you have audiobooks, you have YouTube channels, entire online courses, meditation apps, therapists offering virtual sessions from anywhere in the world. You can literally explore ancient wisdom traditions, cutting-edge neuroscience, and psychological insights all from your couch with a few taps on your phone.
It's wild, isn't it? And it's not just the sheer volume of information, but also the diversity. You're not just getting, one perspective, one dogma.
You can cross-reference, you can compare, you can pick and choose what resonates with you from a vast global buffet of knowledge.
And that to me is so empowering. It allows for a level of um, individual agency that was previously unimaginable. You don't need a guru, a priest, or a spiritual leader to tell you what's true for you. You can literally access so much information and then, test it out for yourself in your own life.
Yeah, it democratizes the entire process. And it means that spiritual transformation isn't just for like the cloistered monk or the ascetic hermit anymore. It's for the everyday person. It's for the busy parent, the student, the corporate professional, the artist. Anyone can embark on this journey now because the resources are just so readily available.
And it also means that the definition of what constitutes a tool for spiritual growth has broadened considerably. It's not just, prayer or meditation in a traditional sense. It can be journaling, it can be nature walks, it can be creative expression, it can be therapy, it can be mindful eating, anything that helps you connect inward, right?
Yeah, anything that fosters that self-awareness and allows for that inner shift. It's it's a much more holistic view, I think. And the fact that we can learn about our own brain chemistry, for instance, and how practices like gratitude or mindfulness literally rewire our neural pathways. That's modern, right? That's science backing up what ancient traditions intuitively knew.
Totally. It's that beautiful convergence of ancient wisdom and modern science. It's like, oh, these practices that have been around for thousands of years, there's actually a physiological explanation for why they're so beneficial for our well-being. And that makes it even more compelling for people in our, evidence-based society.
Absolutely. So this shift from rigid, externally imposed dogma to internal, personal experience, combined with this incredible accessibility of diverse tools and information, that's really the core of what makes spiritual transformation a modern miracle in our eyes. It's no longer confined to like a select few or a specific path. It's for everyone. And it's happening in countless unique ways.
Yeah, it's really about individual empowerment. It's individuals taking responsibility for their own inner landscape and using the vast resources available to them to cultivate a life of purpose and peace, regardless of their background or beliefs. And that, I think, is just genuinely miraculous in a way.
So, Eden, we've talked about what makes spiritual transformation modern and why it's accessible, but there's still that other word in our podcast title, miracle. And I think this is where it gets really, really interesting because how can we call something a miracle if we're not necessarily talking about like divine intervention or supernatural phenomena?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because when most people hear miracle, they think, Moses parting the Red Sea or something, like objectively impossible happening. But what we're talking about here is a different kind of miracle. It's deeply personal, deeply subjective.
Exactly. It's not about like the laws of physics being suspended, right? It's about I think the laws of maybe perceived personal impossibility being suspended. It's a miracle because for the individual experiencing it, it feels like one. It feels like something that was truly beyond their capacity, beyond their reach.
Totally. And I think that often comes down to um, a dramatic shift in perspective. Like you've been looking at the world or at yourself through a particular lens for years, decades even. And suddenly, or maybe gradually, that lens just shifts and everything looks different. It's like seeing color for the first time, you know?
Oh, for sure. It's like when you're stuck in a certain narrative about yourself or about life, right? Like, I'm always going to be anxious or I'm not good enough or life is just hard. And then something happens or you engage in a practice and that deeply ingrained belief just dissolves. And suddenly you see possibilities you never even imagined.
Yeah, and I think given the challenges of modern life, that shift in perspective can truly feel miraculous. I mean, we live in a world that can often feel
really overwhelming, right? With constant information overload, societal pressures, comparison culture on social media, economic anxieties. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And when you're caught in that hamster wheel of like stress and worry, the idea that you could actually feel peace or feel contentment or feel purpose, it can seem almost utopian, unachievable. So when it actually happens, it's like, whoa, how did this even come to be?
Right? It's like it defies your previous understanding of what was possible for you. And that's where the emotional well-being aspect really kicks in too. We're not talking about like just having a good day. We're talking about a fundamental recalibration of your emotional set point.
Oh, exactly. It's moving from chronic anxiety to a general sense of calm, or from deep-seated resentment to like a surprising capacity for forgiveness, or from feeling isolated and alone to experiencing genuine connection and belonging. These aren't just like incremental improvements. These are seismic shifts.
Yeah, and when you've been living with, say, persistent low-level depression for years, or just this constant background hum of anxiety, and then you find practices or insights that genuinely lift that veil, that's a profound change. That's a miracle in the sense that it fundamentally changes your experience of being alive.
It really does. And I think for so many people, the mental health crisis is so pervasive now, and so many people are just like trying to get by, trying to manage symptoms. But spiritual transformation is almost like it's not just managing the symptoms, it's addressing the root and then transcending it.
Yeah, it's not just putting a band-aid on it, it's like completely resculpting the internal landscape. And the other big one, I think, is a dramatic shift in life direction. Someone who was, say, completely lost, without purpose, feeling like they were just drifting, and then they find their calling, or they break free from really destructive patterns.
That's a huge one. Because how many people do you know who just feel stuck, right? Like stuck in a job they hate, stuck in relationships that drain them, stuck in patterns of behavior that don't serve them. And for them to actually like break free from that and reorient their entire life towards something that truly fulfills them, it's monumental.
It really is. It's like they unlock a potential within themselves that they didn't even know existed. And that can manifest in like changing careers entirely, or relocating, or finally setting boundaries in relationships, or pursuing a passion they'd put off for years. It's a redirection of their life force almost.
And again, in the context of modern life where there's so much pressure to like conform, to pursue external markers of success, to stay in your lane, for someone to say, no, actually, I'm going to follow this internal compass, even if it seems illogical to others, that itself is a huge act of courage and can lead to these truly miraculous shifts.
Absolutely. It's a miracle of agency, isn't it? It's reclaiming your own power to sculpt your life from the inside out. And I think that's why we use the word miracle for this podcast, because it encapsulates that feeling of profound, almost unbelievable positive change that happens to an individual. It's not about magic, but it feels magical to the person who lives it.
Yeah, and it speaks to the depth of the transformation. It's not just a minor adjustment, it's a fundamental repatterning of who you are, how you perceive the world, and how you engage with it. And that for me is absolutely a modern miracle. It's not just hope, it's actual tangible inner revolution.
It truly is. And the fact that it's often a gradual process, not just a lightning bolt moment, also makes it miraculous in a way because it requires persistence, it requires intentionality, it requires showing up for yourself day after day, even when it's hard. And to do that in our chaotic world, that's incredible.
It totally is, because it means you're actively participating in your own miracle, right? You're not just waiting for it to happen to you. You're co-creating it. And that's incredibly empowering, and it makes it I think, even more profound than if it were just something that suddenly befell you.
Oh, completely agree. It gives you ownership over your transformation. It's not something that just happened to you, it's something you actively cultivated. And that sustained effort, that commitment to your own growth against the backdrop of all the distractions and challenges of modern life, makes the outcome truly deserving of the word miracle.
Yeah, because it's like defying gravity in a way. It's defying the pull of complacency, the pull of old habits, the pull of external expectations, and to lift yourself up piece by piece into a whole new way of being. That's what we mean by miracle. It's the human spirit's capacity for radical, positive self-reinvention.
Radical, positive self reinvention. I like that. It sums it up perfectly. It's like, it's not just tweaking the engine, it's building a whole new vehicle from the ground up, one that actually gets you where you want to go and feels good to drive.
Yeah, and it's so vital in our current world where people are really struggling to find meaning and well-being. So for these internal shifts to occur and for them to profoundly impact someone's life, even without like a divine voice telling them what to do, it's really something to marvel at.
It really is. It's proof that profound change is possible, even when everything around you feels static or overwhelming. It's a testament to the resilience and the inherent potential within each of us.
You know, all this talk about it feeling like a miracle and these profound shifts, I think it's probably helpful to like give people a bit of a glimpse of what that actually looks like, right? Not in like abstract terms, but in some real everyday scenarios.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's one thing to say, oh, your emotional well-being shifts. But it's another to, paint a picture of someone who actually experienced that. We're not talking about specific individuals, of course, but maybe we can like create some composite characters, some hypothetical stories.
Yeah, exactly. Let's bring this to life a little bit. So like imagine someone, let's call her Sarah. And before Sarah was let's say she was a really successful corporate lawyer, high-flying career, big salary. Outwardly, she had it all. But on the inside, she was just completely burnt out.
Yeah, like waking up with that dread every single morning. Even though on paper it looked perfect, there was just this constant hum of anxiety, feeling like she was always chasing something, never quite getting there. Probably like neglecting her health, her relationships too.
Totally. And she probably thought this is just how life is. This is just what success feels like. That constant striving, that underlying sense of emptiness even. Maybe she'd try to like numb it with busyness or superficial distractions.
Yeah, like endless scrolling or just, pouring herself into work to avoid actually feeling what was going on beneath the surface. Just that sense of being disconnected from herself, really.
Exactly. And then at some point for Sarah, there was this moment, or maybe a series of moments, where she just hit a wall. She realized, I can't keep doing this. And she started maybe exploring mindfulness or just quiet reflection, really, listening to that inner voice she'd ignored for so long.
And the shift, right? The after for Sarah isn't necessarily that she quit her job and moved to a commune in Costa Rica, although sometimes that happens. But for Sarah, maybe it was about realizing that her worth wasn't tied to her billable hours. She started setting boundaries, saying no more often.
Yeah, and she may still be a lawyer, but now she approaches her work from a place of service rather than just achievement. She's found a way to infuse meaning into her day-to-day rather than just enduring it. She's connected with her values and maybe even found a way to use her skills for pro bono work that truly resonates.
And that internal shift, that feeling of inner peace or that sense of alignment, even in the same external circumstances, that's the miracle, right? It's that the suffering she was experiencing before, that profound emptiness, has been replaced by a genuine sense of purpose and calm.
Yeah, it's like she's still in the same city, probably still doing similar work, but her experience of life, her internal landscape, is completely different. And that's truly profound. What about someone who struggled more with like internal narratives like self-worth?
Oh, absolutely. Let's think of someone like Mark. Before, Mark was someone who constantly sought external validation. Like, he'd base his self-worth on how many likes he got on social media, or what his friends thought of him, or if his boss praised his work.
Yeah, always performing, right? Like
putting on a front, never quite feeling like he could be his authentic self because he was so afraid of being judged or like not being good enough. Just that constant, exhausting comparison to others.
Exactly. And so he'd often find himself in relationships that weren't serving him or, going along with things he didn't really want to do just to be liked. That underlying fear of rejection was just like driving so many of his decisions. And then for Mark, maybe it was hitting a point where, a relationship ended badly or he had some kind of public failure and it forced him to look inward. Maybe he started working with a therapist or reading books on self-compassion, really starting to challenge those negative self-beliefs. And the after for Mark, it's not that he became like supremely confident overnight, but it was this gradual, profound realization that his worth wasn't dependent on anyone else's opinion. He started to cultivate genuine self-acceptance. He found his voice.
Yeah, he started setting boundaries like, no, I'm not going to that party if I don't feel like it. Or actually, that comment made me uncomfortable. And he started building relationships based on true connection, where he could actually be himself, messy bits and all, and be loved for it.
It's that shift from constantly trying to earn love or acceptance to realizing he was already inherently worthy of it. And that's such a freeing and miraculous internal revolution, especially in a world that constantly tells us we need to be more, do more, have more to be enough.
It really is. It frees up so much mental and emotional energy that was previously tied up in trying to manage other people's perceptions. And now that energy can be redirected towards like genuine self-expression and building a life that truly feels good.
Yeah, that's a huge one. And it often ripples out into every other area of their life too, because when you feel good about yourself, you make different choices. You engage with the world differently.
Totally. What about like someone who just felt really aimless, Like just drifting, not really knowing what their purpose was or what they wanted to do with their life.
Oh, that's incredibly common, especially now when there's so much choice. It can be paralyzing. Let's say Alex. Alex was, a few years out of college, jumping from job to job, kind of dabbling in different hobbies, but nothing really stuck. Just this persistent feeling of, is this all there is? And a lack of meaning.
Yeah, like just going through the motions, right? Maybe feeling a bit lost in the crowd, watching others seem to find their passion or their path, and wondering why it wasn't happening for them. Perhaps even a bit of apathy or mild depression.
Exactly. And probably just consuming a lot of content, like watching Netflix, playing video games as a way to escape that underlying sense of unfulfillment, rather than actually engaging with what might light them up.
And for Alex, maybe it was something like an intense experience in nature or reading a book that really shifted their perspective on interconnectedness or volunteering for a cause that unexpectedly ignited something within them. And it just started this inquiry, like, what truly matters to me?
And the after, for Alex, it wasn't a sudden, definitive answer, like, oh, I'm going to be a world-renowned artist. It was more like they started to discern an inner compass. They began to understand what their unique gifts were, what truly resonated with them, what felt like authentic expression.
And they started to align their choices with that deeper sense of purpose. So maybe they took a pay cut to work for a nonprofit, or they started dedicating evenings to a creative pursuit they truly loved, or they just started showing up more intentionally in their community.
Yeah, it's that feeling of finally being on their path, not someone else's path or the path society expected them to take, but one that felt profoundly right for them. And that brings an incredible sense of fulfillment and inner peace that was completely absent before.
It's like finding their unique frequency, isn't it? And then humming along with it. And that for me is absolutely a modern miracle. It's not about like winning the lottery or some grand external event. It's the profound internal shift from feeling lost or stuck or empty to finding that deep sense of peace, purpose, and genuine connection.
Yeah, it truly is. And what's so powerful about these everyday examples is that they show it's accessible. It's not just for like monks on mountaintops, right? These are people navigating modern life with all its complexities, and yet they're cultivating these profound internal changes that dramatically alter their experience of being alive.
Absolutely. And they're the ones we walk past every day, probably. They're not necessarily shouting about their transformation from the rooftops, but it's happening internally and it's rippling out into their lives and the lives of those around them is truly incredible. Hearing those stories, even hypothetical ones, really highlights that these are very real, very tangible shifts. And it brings up the question, I think, for a lot of people listening, okay, so how do I even begin to navigate this journey? What are the actual tools and practices that facilitate this kind of, profound growth?
Oh, totally. Because it can sound a bit abstract, right? Spiritual transformation. But actually, there are incredibly practical, accessible tools that people are using right now, today, in their everyday lives to move the needle on their own inner experience. And they're not necessarily, ancient rituals or anything. Some are, but many are very modern.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the big ones, probably the most commonly talked about now, is mindfulness, right?
Absolutely. Mindfulness or just, really cultivating present moment awareness. It's not about emptying your mind. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. And that's huge because our minds are constantly racing, planning, judging, worrying.
It's that space between the stimulus and your reaction, isn't it? Just creating that tiny bit of breathing room. And for someone like Sarah, our hypothetical lawyer who was so burnt out, just taking 5 minutes to actually breathe and notice her body or notice the sounds around her can be incredibly grounding.
It really is. And it's so accessible. You don't need a guru or a special retreat. You can download an app or just, sit quietly for a few minutes. Even just noticing your breath while you're washing dishes. That's mindfulness. And that regular practice, it really builds that muscle of self-awareness.
Yeah, exactly. It's about being with what is rather than constantly trying to escape it or change it. And I think hand in hand with that for many people are different forms of therapy because sometimes, our patterns are so deeply ingrained or our past experiences are so heavy that we need a little help unpacking them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, therapy in all its forms has become so much more mainstream and destigmatized, which is, I think, a huge blessing for modern spiritual transformation. Whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy for challenging negative thought patterns, or psychodynamic therapy for understanding past influences, or even somatic experiencing for processing trauma held in the body.
Yeah, it's like a guided self-reflection, isn't it? Where you have someone holding space for you, helping you see your blind spots and giving you tools to navigate the really tricky emotional landscape. For someone like Mark, who struggled with self-worth, a good therapist can be absolutely transformative in helping them rewrite those old narratives.
100%. It's like having a trained guide to navigate the wilderness of your own psyche. And it's not just about addressing problems, it's about truly understanding yourself at a deeper level, which is fundamentally spiritual work, even if it's not labeled as such.
So true. And then shifting gears a little, there's community engagement. We're so connected digitally, but often so disconnected relationally. And I think finding genuine community, whether it's through volunteering or joining a book club or a support group or even just a shared hobby, can be incredibly powerful.
Yes. Oh, that's such a crucial one because spiritual transformation isn't just an individual pursuit. We're wired for connection. And when you find a community where you feel seen, where you feel heard, where you can contribute and be supported, that's where so much healing and growth can happen. It helps you feel less alone. And that's a huge part of feeling truly human and connected.
It's like when you're struggling and someone else says, "Oh, I felt that too," or "Here's how I got through it." It's just incredibly validating. Or even just contributing your time to something bigger than yourself, like Alex finding purpose through volunteering. That sense of belonging and contribution is profoundly nourishing for the spirit.
It really is. And speaking of nourishing, gratitude practices, gosh, that's another one that sounds simple, but it's deceptively powerful.
Oh, it is. It's like a complete rewiring of your brain, isn't it? When you're constantly looking for what's wrong, that's what you find. But when you intentionally look for what's good or what you're grateful for, even in the smallest things, your perspective just fundamentally shifts.
Totally, like keeping a gratitude journal or just taking a moment each morning to think of 3 things you're grateful for. It cultivates a positive mindset, shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, and helps you appreciate the richness that's already in your life, even amidst challenges. It's hard to feel anxious or resentful when you're actively feeling gratitude.
It's like it doesn't mean you're ignoring problems, but it means you're creating resilience and a positive emotional foundation from which to tackle them. And that really feeds into the idea of intentional self-reflection, which I think kind of underlies all of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Intentional self reflection is just like making time to actually check in with yourself. It could be journaling or just simply, taking a walk alone and just letting your thoughts wander or asking yourself big questions. What do I truly want? What's really important to me right now? What am I avoiding?
And I think in our fast-paced world, that's probably one of the most difficult things to carve out time for. We're constantly bombarded with external stimuli, right? But that quiet time, that introspective space is where so much of the deeper work of spiritual transformation actually happens. It's where you listen to that inner voice, that intuition that often gets drowned out.
Exactly. It's about developing that inner compass, really, understanding your own values, your own needs, your own desires, rather than just reacting to external pressures. And it can be, 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes before bed. It doesn't have to be like an hour-long meditation retreat every day.
No, not at all. And that's the beauty of all these tools, really. They're incredibly accessible. You can weave them into your day-to-day life. You don't need to quit your job or move to a remote village or spend a fortune. They're about consistent, small acts of self-care and self-inquiry that over time just snowball into something truly profound.
Yeah, it's about finding what resonates with you, right? Not every tool works for everyone, but the key is just to experiment, to be curious, and to commit to just a little bit of consistent effort. Because that little bit of consistency, truly over months and years, accumulates into a modern miracle of transformation.
Eden, as we talk about all these wonderful tools and practices and how accessible they are, there's something important we also need to acknowledge. Because listening to this, people might think it's just this smooth, linear climb to inner peace, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's definitely not the reality. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? It's easy to look at someone else's journey or even just imagine this ideal transformation and think, "Oh, it's just going to be this one straight line up." But real transformation, it's messy. It's really messy.
It really is. It's got like twists and turns and potholes, and honestly, sometimes it feels like you're going backwards. And I think one of the biggest challenges people face on this path is self-doubt.
Oh, the self-doubt monster. Yeah, it creeps in, doesn't it? Especially when you're trying something new or trying to break old habits. You might start a new practice, feel good for a bit, and then suddenly, that little voice in your head goes, "Are you sure this is working? You're still feeling anxious? You're still making mistakes? Are you even capable of this?"
Exactly. Or you have one bad day, you snap at someone or you fall back into an old pattern. And it's like, see, I knew it. I'm not actually changing. This is all pointless. It's incredibly disheartening when that happens.
It really is, and it ties into something else, resistance, both internal and external. Internally, our old selves, our comfort zones, they don't give up easily. Your mind might resist new ways of thinking, or your body might resist new routines.
Yeah, it's like your ego's got its claws in, right? It wants to keep things familiar, even if familiar isn't serving you. And then externally, you might face resistance from people around you. Maybe friends or family aren't used to the new you, or they just don't understand why you're changing.
That's so true. They might even feel threatened by your growth, you know? Like, why are you meditating? Are you becoming weird? Or why aren't you joining us for drinks like you used to? It's subtle sometimes, but that external pressure can really make you second guess yourself.
Totally. And then there are just the inevitable setbacks. You're on this path, you're making progress, and then bam, life throws a curveball, a crisis, a loss, a health issue, and suddenly you feel like you're back at square one or even worse off than before.
Yeah, it can be really demoralizing, but this is where I think we have to talk about resilience. Because spiritual transformation isn't about avoiding these bumps. It's about building the muscle to navigate them, to bounce back.
Absolutely. Resilience isn't about not falling down, it's about how quickly and gracefully you get back up. And a huge part of that, I feel, is practicing continuous self-compassion.
Ah, self-compassion. Yes. So vital. It's the opposite of that self-doubt and self-criticism we just talked about. Instead of beating yourself up when you stumble, it's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a good friend who was struggling.
Yeah, it's that internal voice saying, hey, it's okay. You're human. You made a mistake. What can you learn from this? How can you support yourself right now? Instead of, you're such an idiot. You always mess things up. And that shift alone is transformative.
It really is, because when you're compassionate with yourself, you're much more likely to pick yourself up and keep going. You don't get stuck in that spiral of shame or guilt. And it allows you to view these challenges, these setbacks, not as failures, but as part of the growth process.
Such a critical reframe. It's like every challenge, every moment of self-doubt, every external resistance, it's actually an opportunity. It's an opportunity to practice those tools we talked about, to deepen your self-awareness, to strengthen your resolve.
Exactly. It's like the universe is saying, okay, you've learned to walk on flat ground. Now let's see if you can handle a hill. And each time you push through, each time you practice self-compassion instead of self-judgment, you're actually solidifying that new pathway in your brain, strengthening your ability to truly embody that transformed self.
So for anyone listening who feels like they're hitting a wall or they've stumbled or they just feel that self-doubt creeping in, remember, it's normal. It's part of the journey, and those moments are not signs that you're failing. They're actually invitations to deepen your practice, to lean into self-compassion, and to trust the process.
Yeah, just be patient with yourself. This isn't a race, it's a journey. And every step, even the ones that feel like stumbles, is moving you forward in some way.
So we've talked a lot about the internal journey, right? All the tools, the challenges, the importance of self-compassion. But what's really amazing, Eden, is how all that inner work, it really starts to spill out into our everyday lives, creating this incredible ripple effect.
Oh, absolutely. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? Like you do this deep, sometimes difficult internal work, and then suddenly you start noticing these tangible shifts in your outer reality. It's not just about feeling better, it's about doing better and experiencing life differently.
Yeah, and I think one of the most immediate and impactful areas where we see this is in our relationships. When you're more at peace with yourself, when you have that self-compassion we talked about, it changes how you show up for others.
Totally. I mean, if you're not constantly battling your own internal demons or feeling insecure or, projecting your own stuff onto others, suddenly there's just more space for empathy, for understanding, for active listening. Your relationships just naturally become healthier and more authentic.
It's like when you heal your own wounds, you stop expecting others to heal them for you. You become less reactive, more patient.
I've heard so many stories, even from myself, where, a relationship that was maybe a bit strained or contentious, it softens because you've softened within yourself.
Right? And it's not just about existing relationships improving. You also start to attract different kinds of connections into your life. People who resonate with that new higher vibration you're emitting, if you want to put it that way. It's pretty powerful.
It really is. And another area where I see this ripple effect, which might surprise some people, is in enhanced creativity.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, when you're not bogged down by self-doubt or anxiety or constant internal chatter, your mind just like opens up. It clears the pathways for new ideas, for inspiration. It's like you've removed all these mental blocks.
Exactly. It's like you're less afraid to try new things, to fail, to just play around with ideas. Because, part of spiritual transformation is letting go of perfectionism and embracing the process. And that in itself is a massive unlock for creativity. Whether it's in art or problem solving at work or even just finding new ways to approach daily tasks.
Yeah, it's like when you connect more deeply with yourself, you connect more deeply with the wellspring of, intuition and imagination that's within all of us. It flows more freely.
And then, picking up on our last conversation about resilience, it's not just about bouncing back when things go wrong. It's about a deeper, more profound resilience. It's like you're not just surviving adversity, you're actually learning and growing through it.
Yes, it's transforming your relationship with adversity. Instead of seeing a setback as a catastrophic failure, you start to view it as a teacher, an opportunity for growth. You have this internal strength that just doesn't buckle under pressure the way it used to.
You learn to ride the waves instead of being crushed by them. You trust your own capacity to navigate challenges because you've built that inner fortitude. And that changes everything about how you experience difficult times. You might still feel pain or frustration, but it doesn't consume you.
No, it doesn't. And that leads, I think, to one of the most beautiful outcomes of spiritual transformation, a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose.
Oh, for sure. Because as you align more with your true self, as you strip away all those layers of conditioning and external expectations, you start to understand what truly matters to you. Not what society tells you should matter or what your parents wanted for you, but your own authentic desires and values.
Right. And then your actions start to flow from that place. You're not just, going through the motions or chasing external achievements. You're living in alignment with your deepest truth. And that feels inherently meaningful. It's like finding your personal North Star.
Yeah, it's that feeling of I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm meant to do. And that doesn't mean every day is sunshine and rainbows, but there's an underlying current of meaning and satisfaction, even in the mundane.
Yeah, it's like your whole orientation to life shifts. You're not just, working a job to pay the bills. You might find a way to infuse purpose into that job, or you might find a new path entirely that truly resonates. It's transformative, that shift.
So when we talk about a modern miracle, it's not just about an inner shift, is it? It's about how that inner shift cascades outwards, affecting every single aspect of your life: your relationships, your work, your creative expression, your ability to weather storms, and ultimately, your fundamental sense of joy and meaning. It's a holistic transformation.
It really is. It's a living testament to the idea that true change, the kind that lasts, always begins from within, and the outer world just reflects that inner reality back to you. It's pretty amazing to witness.
It really is, Eden. And I think listening to all of this, for many of our listeners, they might be feeling a pull, right? Like, okay, this sounds incredible, this profound inner change, these ripple effects, but where do I even begin?
Oh, totally. I mean, it can feel overwhelming almost, especially when we talk about spiritual transformation. It sounds so grand, so, epic, but it starts with one tiny step, doesn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And the first thing I want to impress upon everyone is that this journey, your journey, it's uniquely yours. There's no one size fits all roadmap, no like specific guru or book that's suddenly going to unlock everything for everyone.
That's so important because I think we often look for the prescriptive path, right? Like, tell me the exact 5 things I need to do every day. But transformation, it's organic. It adapts to you.
Exactly. So what we can offer are, some suggestions, some potential starting points, but always with the caveat that you should explore what resonates with you. Listen to that inner whisper.
Yeah, and I think one of the simplest yet most powerful first steps is to cultivate curiosity. Just notice. Notice your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions without judgment.
That's so good. Like maybe just set aside 5 minutes a day, just to sit and observe what's going on inside. Or if journaling resonates, just, free writing, asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? Or why did I react that way? It's just about becoming more aware.
Awareness is everything. And on that note, another really simple one is practicing presence or mindfulness. We talked about it earlier, but it doesn't have to be like an hour of meditation. It could be 5 deep breaths before you open your email in the morning, or like truly tasting your coffee or feeling the warmth of the shower water. Just intentionally bringing your attention to the present moment for a few seconds or a minute throughout your day. It really starts to anchor you.
Yeah, it grounds you. And I think another great starting point is cultivating gratitude. Even if things feel tough, just finding one small thing each day to be grateful for, a sunny window, a warm blanket, the sound of birds. It really starts to rewire your brain towards a more positive outlook.
Oh, it's amazing what that does, right? And again, it doesn't have to be a big monumental thing, just like a quick mental list or jotting it down on a sticky note. It shifts your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add embrace consistency over intensity. It's not about like having one huge breakthrough session and then being transformed. It's about showing up for yourself, even in small ways, every day or most days.
Yes, that's crucial. 5 minutes of consistent self-reflection or mindfulness every day is far more impactful than, doing an intense workshop once a year and then forgetting about it. It's the small, steady drops that carve the canyon.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. Like maybe journaling feels right for a month, and then suddenly you're drawn to spending more time in nature or listening to inspirational podcasts like this one, hopefully.
Yes, or, trying a new type of movement like yoga or tai chi that connects mind and body. The key is just to stay curious and keep exploring what nourishes your soul.
And don't get discouraged by setbacks because there will be days when you feel like you're not making progress or you fall back into old patterns. That's part of the journey. It's not linear.
No, it's really not. And that's where that self-compassion we talked about comes in. Be kind to yourself. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just start again. Every day is a new opportunity.
Yeah, remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There's no finish line where you suddenly arrive and you're done with transformation. It's a continuous process of unfolding, of becoming more authentically you.
So, for anyone out there listening, feeling that spark, that nudge, just start. Just take one small actionable step today. Cultivate that curiosity. Find one moment of presence. Notice one thing you're grateful for, and then just repeat it tomorrow.
That's it. Trust that inner wisdom. It knows the way. Your journey awaits, and it's going to be pretty incredible to witness.
Before we sign off, we also want to give a special acknowledgement to Harivilas Das. He's the author of this insightful book, A Modern Miracle of Spiritual Transformation, which has been our primary source today. Harivilas Das has a really remarkable journey. He joined ISKCON in 1969 and was initiated by Srila Prabhupada the very next year. He played a crucial role in setting up the first temple in Paris and served as its president. And, he didn't stop there. He recognized the importance of books in Prabhupada's mission and generously donated to print Srila Prabhupada's books in various foreign languages, really helping to spread Krishna consciousness across the globe. His efforts, were so impactful, leading to translations and printings in many languages, from Bengali to Japanese, Swahili, and even Arabic. He's also been instrumental in organizing major Indian cultural festivals in the Pacific Northwest and establishing educational centers and cow protection farms. So his contributions are truly significant in spreading these teachings. We're very grateful for his work in compiling and presenting these invaluable instructions.
For sure. So until next time, keep cultivating that curiosity, keep embracing that inner wisdom, and remember that your journey of transformation is truly a modern miracle in the making.
Well, that just about wraps up our conversation for today, Aiden. And honestly, it feels like we've just scratched the surface of something so profound.
Oh, totally, Avery. I mean, we've talked about what spiritual transformation means, why it feels like a modern miracle, and even some simple ways to start your own journey. And it's just so exciting to think about.
It really is. And to our incredible listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into what we truly believe is a modern miracle of spiritual transformation. It's a journey, as we said, that's deeply personal, profoundly impactful, and absolutely within reach for anyone seeking more meaning and peace in their lives.
Yeah, we really hope that something we've shared today has resonated with you, sparked a new idea, or maybe even just giving you a little nudge to look inward. Remember, that inner change, it truly does have the power to reshape your entire reality.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this conversation, if you felt a connection with what we discussed today, please, we'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to subscribe to A Modern Miracle of Spiritual Transformation wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yes, and leaving a review or even just rating us, it really helps us reach more people who might be looking for this kind of conversation. It's how we grow this community, really.
Precisely. Your support helps us continue these explorations, and honestly, it just means the world to us. We love hearing from you, so feel free to engage with us on social media or wherever you find us. We're always looking for topics that resonate with your journey.
For sure. So until next time, keep cultivating that curiosity, keep embracing that inner wisdom, and remember that your journey of transformation is truly a modern miracle in the making.
Thank you again.